With the Contemporary Resort getting a new refurbishment with incredible rooms, let's talk about some possible changes to other resorts that may have the similar theming. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Diz TV. If this is your first time here, welcome home. We're so glad to have you. Now, today is very much a speculation video. This has no basis for anything, because none of it's confirmed. This is just me putting my thoughts out there on the recent room renovations that have been going on across Walt Disney World that started with the Pop Century Resort, moved to All-Star, which is now gone to Wilderness Lodge, as well as the Contemporary, which is the newest one, and of course the Polynesian, all having different themes around different IPs or different tie-ins. Most of the rooms, or at least some of the rooms, don't need this. The Riviera doesn't need it, Wilderness Lodge doesn't need it, and some others are super hard to find IP tie-ins, aka Beach Club and Yacht Club. So there really isn't anything specific for those. But other than that, we do have some possibilities for what we could see with some of these rooms. Again, this is not me saying that this will happen, because it may not. We may just get room renovations and it may just be regular with some IP tie-ins. But based off how the Moana rooms are and now the Incredible rooms, Disney seems to be leaning more IP based for some of their resorts. With that out of the way, let's dive into some of the resorts, shall we? Port Orleans, Riverside, and French Quarter. And yes, while the Riverside does have some of the princess rooms, it also does have a whole section that is kind of just nothing right now. And if I was to tie an IP in, it would definitely have to be Princess and the Frog. This one is a no-brainer. It kind of already has some tie-ins there anyway, just dealing with the alligator rooms over on Riverside. They kind of have that Princess and the Frog theme, but not too much. This would be a perfect tie-in. Now, moving on to French Quarter, this one was a little more difficult to figure out because, well, you could do Princess and the Frog and have some of that still in it, but also at the same time, why not Hunchback of Notre Dame? Mardi Gras style, which would blend well with Topsy Turvy, as well as the end part of Princess and the Frog. Moving on to Disney's Animal Kingdom, this one is a little bit harder to do because Lion King is already used for Art of Animation. So because of that, gotta find something else. But that doesn't mean you can't use the Lion King in this, because you can use several different movies. While it would lean more towards a animal-styled room, maybe with a savanna sort of backdrop similar to what the Wilderness Lodge has, and you could incorporate a bit of Lion King and a bit of, say, The Jungle Book or even Tarzan to add a bit of flavor to that resort. It could look good. Next is Caribbean Beach Resort, or Caribbean Beach, depending on how you want to pronounce it. This one's kind of a no-brainer. It's Pirates of the Caribbean. But, of course, they already have a good amount of pirate rooms. That doesn't mean they can't continue to add more pirate-themed rooms. It just could fit. But at the same time, they also could go for a more, beachy-styled rooms that they've done. Moving on to Boardwalk, this one already has a tiny bit of theming to it, and that is Dumbo. This one could be done quite well, but I think Dumbo could be a pretty cool tie-in, especially with the whole circus theme and the boardwalk and some of that stuff. I don't know, to me it kind of ties into the same sort of era. Next is Saratoga Springs. There isn't really much of any New York sort of movies, except there is one, and that would be The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. Now this would be very, very minuscule, as it would deal more with, horse and horse racing, and there is a little Goofy short with that, I believe. But, just adding a mix of those two could blend itself pretty nicely. However, there is a possibility this may not come to fruition just because of the fact that Saratoga Springs is going through a refurbishment at the moment, which doesn't tie into any sort of IP. So because of that, this may not happen. Next is Coronado Springs. This one is actually going to be kind of the opposite of the Contemporary Resort, as all the incredible rooms will be in the tower of the resort, and all the garden ones are going to stay the same to how they have been previously. This one, it's the garden rooms that could change, and the tower stay the same because the tower is quite new, and so all those rooms can stay as they are, and that would be Coco. This one's kind of obvious, as Coco would make the most sense, but still could look pretty cool. And last but certainly not least, it's the Grand Floridian. We're wrapping it out with the last resort in the Magic Kingdom area, and this one can be a mix of a tiny bit of Alice in Wonderland and Mary Poppins. Everything I've seen online has suggested that Alice in Wonderland would be coming to the Grand Floridian, but to me it just doesn't make it too much sense. I think Mary Poppins could fit much better than Alice in Wonderland in it. Doesn't mean you can't add some Alice in Wonderland ties to it, but I just think it would look a lot nicer. Again, this is just speculation. This doesn't mean that this is going to happen. It could very well happen, and I could honestly see that, and I'd honestly be okay with it as long as it matches up nicely to each resort theme that's been set since they were open. So far, it is going pretty well. If I had to pick a favorite, it's definitely the Wilderness Lodge rooms right now. They look amazing, tying well back to the resort with some character theming onto it. The Incredibles rooms are cool, and I do like them. Contemporary-wise, I'm still a little up in the air about it, but they do look good. And of course, the Moana rooms also do look pretty cool. I wish we got some Lilo and Stitch rooms. That would have been cool, because it really doesn't tie in anywhere else. I mean, you could do Beach Club, but that's more of like a New England style, so it wouldn't make sense. Let me know in the comments down below what IPs could tie into some of these resorts. You could agree with me, you could disagree with me. That's totally okay. It's a speculative video, so who cares? Anyway, I'll see you all in the next one. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe down below and hit the bell to be notified for more videos on Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, the parks, and so much more. I'll see you all in the next one. Have a magical day. Goodbye.